Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I
Good morning. I don't know what's up with the DJ. It was like, pull off the other thing. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Back and ready to roll. How are you?
I'm caffeinated. I see so many of the people early in the comments are caffeinated. And I am here. I had a good night's sleep. I'm exhausted, but I am here. And we have a good show coming up. What?
I saw something in the comments that I'm very jealous of. It makes complete sense.
Ooh, what?
Because this person is super cool. I have always wanted to, Vicky and Sausalito, take hula lessons. So how cool that you're doing that. I love it.
You've never taken hula lessons.
I know, I haven't.
Never.
No, I haven't. I was going to, and then I got pregnant with Julia, and so then I didn't. And it just kind of happened that it never
14 years ago, Kim McAllister.
I know, it just happened that I never, and there's not really I don't think a good hula halau in Petaluma or in the North Bay that I know of. So
anybody know of one?
Yeah.
I mean,
Vicky and Sausalito must have one. I know our friend Terry
I was just going to mention her.
And I was going to do it in San Francisco, but they do it every 4 years. They start a new group. So then the timing of it didn't work out. Anyway, yeah.
I see. Well, I've never taken hula lessons beyond, when you're in Hawaii and you go to a luau and they give you a quick little hula lesson.
No.
That's the
that
extent.
Doesn't count.
That does not count. No, I didn't think that counted at all. But I think finding extracurricular activities is very important. And since we're talking about extracurricular activities, tell me what you just told me right before we went on air. Tell me. Tell me these words that just came out of Kim McAllister.
I know. It's very
liberal.
Sexist. Very words from me. In Petaluma, at Petaluma High School, there is a girls' volleyball team, but there is no boys' volleyball team. Okay?
Uh-huh.
There is a boys' football team, and new this year, there's girls' flag football. All right.
Wow. How very progressive.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very up in the sticks. We're very progressive up here. Except for my thoughts when my husband signed my son up for this camp. Well, kind of not a camp, but it's like a weekly clinic.
Okay.
Volleyball clinic.
Because your son has expressed interest in playing volleyball?
No, because we're just trying to
expose him to new things
and sign him up, because my kids are very musical, but we have to kind of force them into sports and activity, right?
Okay. Is there a reason why you want them to play sports and not just music?
Because I want them to get physical activity.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that they get a little exercise and that they learn new things, that they meet new people and whatever. But I don't know if I would have signed them up for volleyball, because here in this town, that's a girl's sport.
But that is terrible to say, because one, we know that volleyball is not a girl's sport. I mean, God, there's male volleyball competitions all of the time.
There's Olympics for men, beach volleyball. But inside, like indoor volleyball, it seems to be a girl's sport. And it's not so much the same thing, but I'll say that when my daughter loves to go horseback riding, and she has a barn that she goes to. And that is almost all girls. There might have been one or two boys the whole time she's been riding since she was 5, and she's now 14. So it's very girl heavy. Same with volleyball, very girl heavy.
So your son is a groundbreaker, is what you're saying. He's breaking through glass ceilings for men in Petaluma. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, he signed him up for the summer one too.
And that is just way girly, or what?
He's been one of like 2 boys at the volleyball
so he wasn't
clinic.
Alone. That's good.
Yeah, not alone here either. He's one of, again, 2 or 3 boys. I think he said there's a 5-year-old boy and an 11-year-old boy. He's 9.
Nick's 11-year-old son is trying out for volleyball at school.
Really? Okay. So, see, I'm thinking, why'd you sign him up for a girl sport? Is that
It's
bad?
not a girl's sport.
Okay.
It's
All
a girl's
right.
sport in your tiny town of Petaluma, apparently,
Yeah,
because there's
it
not enough
is.
boys that like volleyball or want to go into it.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's tons of little boys that want to play volleyball in Petaluma, but they got moms that are really like, that's a girl's sport.
Well, and I didn't say it. You would be very proud of me. I'm just thinking to myself, I did ask though. So, how many other boys are there? And so he told me that.
And he's like, I was the only one.
No,
Oh, there's one more?
there's another boy there. Another boy, yeah.
Did he make friends?
No, not necessarily.
Girls like the girls didn't be like, hey, come play with
But
us. or
he's the
anything?
only one with volleyball experience because of his summer camp. So he knows how to set and
Well, then there
spike
you go.
or whatever. Yeah.
Now, when they do the camp, is it a co-ed camp or is he kind of like they have to make an exception because he signed up?
It's technically co-ed, but I don't think most boys sign up for it.
Because they don't have parents that are promoting it. That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, because like honestly, Amy was just saying, hold on, Amy was the only girl on her high school football team. It was definitely hard, but I proved myself.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, Amy. Like, if you want to do a sport, and unfortunately, not enough of whatever gender you are wants to participate in said sport, then you start the way. I think that that's kind of awesome. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I'd be concerned too. I'm not saying like that you're completely, out of left field here. I'd be like, oh, so you're the only boy, or in Amy's case, you're the only girl. Are you sure you're okay with that? And if they say, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all, which I feel like if I put my son in a situation like that, that's exactly what he would say. Then
But
fine. If it doesn't bother you.
I didn't say it. I waited for him to say it.
Oh, what did he say?
Nothing.
He was fine with it?
He said, I'm the only one who knows how to set and spike.
Oh.
And I'm kind of like the assistant coach now because I know those things and I help other people. And I said, great. And it sounds like he's getting confidence from that. And so I said nothing.
Well,
I
and
didn't
also
say
he'll
anything
be
until I talked to
participating.
you, which I said is kind of a girl sport.
It's not a girl sport. And you want him to be active. And so if
Right.
he's the one that could spike, he's going to play, right?
Yeah.
So he's definitely going to get the energy out and he's going to play the sport. He's going to get better at it because he's going to teach other people, which is in itself a form of learning as well. So I think he's making out like gangbusters, like you have experience. You're definitely going to play then, and he'll be around girls. So who cares? I mean, that could be a bonus for some kids. So, I don't know. Be excited. Is this a camp or are there going to be games?
No,
Can you
it's
go
like
to
a boy.
games?
It's a boys and girls club thing.
So are they
I don't
playing
think there's
against other
games.
teams? Oh, they're not. It's just
no.
to
It's just
play.
like a weekly, skills thing.
Yeah. Eric says, why do you think they want to sign up for volleyball or cheerleading? Only 1 or 2 boys among all those girls. There is someone I used to work with for years on the radio that joined sports because he said that's where all the girls are. So now I'm not saying that that's why Jacob's doing it, of course, but they could be. It's like, heck, what? It's just like, why do you work at the bank? That's where the money is. If you're interested, that's where the girls are. Randy says my daughter's husband was a star volleyball player in high school. They
Oh.
met playing beach volleyball. And
that's
he's gonna be
cool.
able to go to
Yeah.
the beach, set up the volleyball, show off. You know what
That's
I mean?
right.
I think this is gonna work. I think this is going to work. Okay, so I'm glad that we shared this story and everybody has their own opinion of it. We are going to touch, when we talk a lot about college, what you need to do to get into college, kind of your college path. In a moment, I don't know if you guys saw this report by ABC7. It's a very long interview, so I'm not going to play it all. This Bay Area high school graduate with, I'm sorry, like everything, started his own nonprofit, had like over a 4.0 weighted GPA, was rejected by 16 colleges. Okay. But was offered a job at Google. So I'll play you the report in a minute, but I want you guys to tell me if this was your kid. And this is what I keep trying to get. Like, I try to put myself in the parent's shoes because the parent will be speaking during this report as well. I push my kid. I'm like, study, Obviously, I'm sure they helped. Like, it's a good idea if you have something on your college resume about starting a company or a nonprofit or whatever, right? Pound all this education into their head, take all these classes, and then they don't go to college. They end up going to Google, which could be the ultimate goal of going to college. But my question to you will be, would you want your kid to take the job or still go to college? Like, turn down Google and go to college. So we'll talk about that. We will, of course, touch on the just growing horrific tragedy that's happening in Hamas. But there was this kind of, as we kind of dealt with on Tuesday, or pardon me, today's Wednesday, right? I'm so lost. Monday.
Wednesday. Yes,
it's Wednesday. When we talked about this on Monday, kind of how are we having the conversations, what people say. Well, apparently at Harvard and other colleges, but Harvard's in the spotlight. There are a number, I want to say almost 24 clubs that support Palestine. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that anything's necessarily wrong with having, these clubs, but these clubs are putting out social media posts that are described as blaming Israel solely 100% for what is happening right now. And it's pissed off some CEOs and this one billionaire hedge fund manager by the name of Bill Ackman. And he says, I want the name of every student that is on these letters solely blaming Israel to make sure we don't make the mistake of ever hiring them. So you guys let me know if that is a fair thing to say, especially when so many people come out, with how they feel about it, the complication of understanding what's happening to the Palestinian people, Hamas using the plight of the Palestinian people to justify the horrific things they are doing to women, to infants, right? And of course, the fact that there is free speech in this country. But we always say it, free speech, not free from consequences. So is it fair for a hedge fund manager to say, you know what? If you sign that letter, I never want to see you walk through my doors to hire you. How do you feel about that? And at the same time, a big warning going out about using X, also known as Twitter, to get any sort of information. Have you heard some of the misinformation, disinformation that's been posted on that social media platform? We will get into that. We will switch gears, though. I do want to touch on Mary Lou Retton. I was a huge Mary Lou Retton fan back in the 80s. Hold on, I'll show it to you. I pulled the picture because it literally brought me. Did anyone ever have this? Did you ever have this get in shape girl thing? It came with all these things and you could be like a gymnast. I also got the ribbon with it. And it was just something real. It's funny when I was like, oh yeah, it was called Get in Shape Girl, which is so like
Get in Shape Girl
problematic now.
That's
but
so
back
cute.
then it was really cute. And I was in a dance back then. Like I danced, that was my sport. And so I was really, really into it. And this was in partnership with Mary Lou Retton. And so I just loved Mary Lou Retton growing up. And but I've heard her daughter has come out and said that she's fighting for her life. She has this rare form of pneumonia. But when we touch on this, she has no health insurance. Mary Lou Retton, a gold medal American Olympian. And I know that decades have passed since then, but no health insurance? What does that say? And did you know that she fought against a bill that would have protected, and it did actually pass though, that would have protected gymnasts and female athletes from sexual abuse? This is all following the Larry Nassar scandal. So we'll get into that. There's some other gymnastics news that has to do with Simone Biles. And we have a bunch of stuff that we'll try to get into. But first, let's get some business out of the way. I do want to say first, thank you to Harry. A donation for yesterday. You've now received a dark money contribution. Thank you, Harry. It's a Hula thing. Thank you, Harry. We always appreciate donations to the super chat. You just have to look under the live chat box for the $sign. You could throw us a super sticker, a super thanks, a super comment like Harry. And if it's during the live show, we'll read it live. But the number one thing you could do always at the beginning of every show is click the thumbs up button. Click the thumbs up button. Also make sure you're subscribed to this show so you don't miss a moment. Click the bell, and that way you know when we're live again, or we have new shows, or we have new content up on this channel. Sign up to become an official Medorable Where's my button? This is going to be in the my favorite things box that I'll mention. It's really, really bright. I'm not going to even hold it next to the candle. But this is a Medorable button. There it is. It's the official Medorable.
Cute.
It's the first one. But anyway, to become a Medorable, you have to be a monthly Patreon subscriber. That's how you do it. And you get to decide how much you can afford one time a month. And just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. There's a Patreon link right there and sign up. And we appreciate it because it's the consistent money that we get. Now, this is we're in the final stretch here of the raffle. So here it is. It's the 1 year anniversary fundraiser. We're giving away a box of my favorite things. There's only one more thing I need to put in the box, but I can get that right when I wrap it. I'll be doing that this weekend. So it's $20 per raffle ticket. We'll do an online draw. We'll collect your donations online, and then I'm going to draw the name live on the show next Tuesday, October 17th, which is our 1 year anniversary. So buy as many tickets as you can for $20. Just go to paypal.com, click the send button, and then put in the email address, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. I think there's one, I think I saw it last night. I need to do one more confirmation email, but everybody should have gotten a confirmation email. When you send the money, there's like a comment box. Make sure you put raffle and your email address. I can message you through PayPal, but it's easier to have your email address. So if you win, I can let you know. Of course, it'll be announced live on the show. So if you're ever wondering, you could just go on YouTube and I would announce it there as well. And it stays on YouTube, so you won't miss it. And if you win the box and you either live or can be within 50 miles of San Jose, the winner will get a personal delivery by yours truly. So we'll take pictures and we'll say hi and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that part. So I really hope that whoever wins is close and I don't have to ship it. But if you're too far away and we can't make it work out, I will, of course, ship the box to you. So yeah, get those tickets. There's not much time. I think I'm going to cut off the tickets on Sunday so that I can get all the names and everything inputted and check and double check and triple check. So I don't leave anybody out that bought a ticket. And then, of course, we'll do the drawing on Tuesday. So thank you to everybody that supported the show. We really do appreciate it. Let's do some headlines with Kim, and then we'll come out. We'll talk about the Bay Area grad. And this is the other question with the Bay Area grad that got rejected by all those colleges and got hired by Google. Doesn't it make you rethink like all the pressure you put on your kids? Because that's my whole. I was like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't be too good. You know, like there's something to be said of struggle. Like, you know, I'm not at the top because sometimes being at the top doesn't get you crap. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Harvard letters in support or blaming solely Israel for what is happening out there. It's just so freaking horrific. But that's all coming up right after Kim's News.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
On the Nikki Medoro Show, I am Kim McAllister. Let's talk about this, and I know we're going to talk about this coming up as well, Nikki. And it's interesting because, you know, even when you pick a picture for a news story, you have to think, how are people going to react, right? If I show a picture of Israeli bombs falling, am I saying that I support Israel? If I show a picture of Hamas fighters, am I saying I support Hamas? Neither one is true. I chose this picture because I felt like maybe we hadn't seen this side of it. These are Hamas fighters. But it's interesting how you're one side or you're the other, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll talk about that, as you mentioned, coming up. But the war between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas is now in its 5th day. The fighting has left over 2,200 people dead. The war started after Hamas did a surprise attack against Israel over the weekend, and the retaliation has been swift and sure. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says Palestinian militant group Hamas deliberately targeted civilians when it attacked Israel. Speaking at NATO in Brussels, he added the United States continues to stand firm with Israel. As we heard from President Biden yesterday, 14 Americans have been killed so far in this fighting. House Republicans are scheduled to vote on a new speaker today at the U.S. Capitol. The closed-door vote will come after Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana and Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan of Ohio They say auditioned for the top job on Tuesday. Both men made their pitches to GOP House members, and they took questions during a closed-door forum. So
I really hope it's not Jim Jordan. I don't. They're both Republicans, and Steve Scalise isn't that great either. But he's not Jim Jordan. I hope Scalise gets it.
He seems to be the most reasonable of the two. You know, I mean, because Jim Jordan is one of these people where every time he opens his mouth, you wonder what.
Ugh, he's awful.
But neither one of them, I mean, whatever. It's
a Republican choice, so I think we're always going to have something to say about it. So, yeah. No.
It's definitely not, there's no moderate choice coming in.
You know, if we had, and I even hesitate to say this because I know how he feels on some issues and I completely disagree, but even like a Mitt Romney is palatable, but not a Jim Jordan, not anybody like that. Not an election denier. If you denied the election still to this day and you're still backing Trump and saying he did nothing wrong, you should be disqualified from being speaker.
You should be excommunicated. That's it for you. You're out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to this next story about Ozempic. Ozempic, the popularity of weight management drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy are apparently hurting growth forecasts for the packaged food industry and less obvious sectors as well. These drugs mimic a hormone that signals to the brain that you're full, making users of the diabetes medications eat less and eat healthier. Barclays Bank warned the popularity of these drugs could dampen demand for companies like Pepsi, Mondelez, and the fast food sector as well.
It was so funny. Somebody did a story yesterday. They're like, I don't know if it was like a Walmart survey or something, and it was the most idiotic. You know, when you listen to the news and you're like, and I know so many of you have said this at some point. This is a news story. This is surprising. They're like, oh, because of the popularity of Ozempic, people's grocery bills are less. And I was like, no crap. Like they're eating less food. And this woman was trying to couch it as if, well, they're committed, so they're not going to eat as much. I'm like, yeah, and the drug makes them less hungry. Of course they're going to eat less food. It mimics that in your head now. I mean, I think I'm almost positive I'm correct. I think you give yourself a shot once a week or something like that. If I'm injecting myself once a week with something, I think I'm pretty committed, right? I don't know how long these people are going to do it. It could be for the rest of their lives. You mentioned diabetes, which is what, the drug is intended.
Original purpose
was for. And diabetes, people with diabetes, they have to take insulin. They have to, do all these things. They have to, check their insulin. So if you look at Ozempic or Wegovy or whatever you're using and say, yes, I'm going to take this for the rest of my life because your, weight gain or obesity or whatever is something that you can't control. You've tried everything and you can't control it. Then I don't have a problem with it. I kind of have a problem with it being, let's say, in short supply for people that need it because somebody wants to lose 10 pounds. Now I understand that 10 pounds can be just as annoying as 50 pounds, I guess. But I feel like if your weight is impacting your health, then you should have first dibs at something like this.
Well, I was reading yesterday that these drugs don't come without side effects. And so it's a 1% risk, which doesn't seem like a lot until you have all these people taking it. And then all of a sudden you have hundreds of thousands of people affected.
Right. Yeah.
It comes with a risk of serious digestive issues like stomach paralysis and blocked intestines and all kinds of things where you're like, was I happier being a little chunky than having my digestive system, wrecked and have to have surgery or having a gallbladder taken out or all these things where you're like, I don't know. And it hit home to me that once again, there is no quick fix. You might think that you to give yourself a shot once a week, but it doesn't come without the possibility that you're doing something worse to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is a quick fix. I mean, I think that I'm using quick as in like a few months, right? Like you will lose weight where you hadn't been able to before if you take these drugs. You're going to have to continue to take it. I know that some people are like, well, I eased myself off and I'm trying to maintain. Good luck. There's a reason why you lost weight. And it wasn't, and I'm not trying to be harsh to people that try to lose weight, but if you've exercised and you've changed your diet and you're still not losing weight, and then you choose to use Ozempic or Wegovy, and then you lose weight, that is why you lost weight. I mean, it's not as if oh, now all of a sudden the universe is going to recognize the fact that I'm trying, right? No, you tried in the ways that was recommended by your doctor. And for whatever reason, it could be your genetics, it could be thyroid, it could be whatever. It could be whatever reason, you're not losing the weight. And so if you take this drug, you're going to have to keep taking the drug because you tried everything else. And I just hope that people understand that, because it's not a cheap drug. So,
no, and as you mentioned, what happens when you stop it?
You're going to get your weight back.
Does the weight all come right back on?
Yes.
Have you really dealt with what is the problem in the first place? And I just, people just think that they're, that it's this, let's just give ourselves a shot and it's magic. Well, no, it isn't. It isn't magic.
I don't see it as the easy way out. I see it as, if you changed your diet and you exercise, right? And you still don't lose the weight, then there's something else within your body that doesn't let you lose the weight. And if it's causing health problems, high blood pressure, hypertension, or whatever, even though you've changed your diet and you've exercised, then you need medication. And this is the medication. And no, you don't stop your medication. You don't stop your medication if you have diabetes. You don't stop your medication if you have some other sort of disease or illness. So why would you stop your medication for this? I think it's because of our attitude of, oh, you're just lazy, you just eat crap food, when many times people are not overweight for those reasons. Yeah. And so I think we need to look at it differently. I have no problem with someone taking Ozempic for the rest of their lives, as long as they understand they're going to take Ozempic for the rest of their lives, or they're going to gain the weight back. If I have a heart problem and I take medication and the heart problem is better, and then I stop taking the medication, guess what's going to happen? Right? So that's how people need to look at this. And I don't think that I feel people are like, oh, you're being lazy. You're not being lazy. You're not able to lose weight. This will help you.
Let's talk about Disney.
Oh, I'm angry at this story. If it's a story that I think that you're going to say, give me a friggin' break over here.
A trip to Walt Disney World or Disneyland will now cost you even more. On Wednesday, and of course, this comes right after their, we're going to lower prices to $50 for little tiny children. Right. On Wednesday, the Disney company announced price hikes for the theme park tickets, along with parking and its Genie Plus service, too.
Oh, God, yeah.
Prices across the board.
God. Do you have the prices in front of you? Because I feel like I saw somebody post it, and the price for the bump on Disney Plus and whatever, you've got to be kidding me over here. You have to be kidding me. I'm going to quit. I think that I get a discount because of Verizon, but if I don't, I'm quitting it. That's it.
Prices for annual passes at Disney World in Florida are jumping between $30 and $50 depending on the pass. Meanwhile, almost all ticket options at California's Disneyland will see prices rise between $5 and $65. No. The cost for parking at the Genie Plus planning add-on and the Genie Plus planning add-on are going up by $5. The price increase comes after Disney announced its plan to invest $60 billion into its theme park over the next decade. So who's paying for that? You are.
Well, no, I'm going to say this. And I read an article probably when I was going to Disneyland, we were obsessed with Disneyland. They don't know any other way to control the number of people that go to their theme parks except to raise the prices. That's what they keep saying. They're like, we make it more expensive in hopes that not everybody's coming at the same time. But then at the same time, you're still letting a buttload of people in. So I'm paying more and the experience isn't getting better. I would rather them make it more difficult to get, when you had to have the reservation to go to Disneyland. I would rather have that. And there's fewer people, because when I went to Disneyland with my family, it was still reduced. It was amazing, Kim. It was amazing. We got on rides easy. We didn't have any sort of, fancy pass or anything like that. We had to do the reservation for the Star Wars. We got on it twice. I make it harder to go, but when you do get that reservation, that the experience lives up to the price that I just paid for the ticket. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it won't. And Vicky writes, as a child, I had many wonderful memories at Disneyland, and that's what parents are trying to create, but at what cost? And she also writes, the crowds at Disneyland ruin the experience.
Exactly.
Make
and it's fewer people come. That's it.
If you pay now, what is it going to be? $200 a ticket?
That's insane.
Then
And they want
when
you to go for multiple days to get a discount, but then that just means you're spending it all again. It doesn't matter.
If you're paying $200 for a ticket, then you expect that you'll walk in and you won't have to spend half the day waiting in a line, and that's just not the case. Right?
I don't know.
So you're spending $200 for the privilege of stepping foot on their property and maybe going on 4 rides, depending on what the crowds are. Yeah, no.
No, they should reduce it. They should go back to the reservation system. They should significantly limit the number of people back to, I'm talking back to COVID days, not 50%, but I'd say like 70% of capacity, right? Make it so people don't have to wait in hours long lines. Yes. And in that like day, you might make less money, but I feel like the experience will be great. And then people are like, you know what? If I need to make a reservation months and months and months and months in advance, at least I know when I go, I'll have a great time and I won't be stuck in line all day.
John says it's really frustrating. I love Disney, love taking my family. Tickets for 2-day single park tickets will now cost us over $1,000, not including hotel, food, and merchandise.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
It's not like you're only paying to get into the park. Everything is expensive. Unless you live in LA, right? You need a hotel. You need to eat. You know you're going to need merchandise. You're going to have to get something. That's one of those places where you're like, I'm just going to spend a ton of money and I'll deal with it when I get home.
Deidre says the best time to go to Disneyland is when it's raining.
I know, but then again, like I'm still paying a lot of money and it's damp. There's a damper on it because it's raining on me. Believe me, when I went to Universal Studios with my daughter, it was amazing. No lines. We were miserable in the rain. But yeah.
Sandy says, pretty sure I can never afford to go
know,
again,
that's
and that
so
she's
sad.
sure it's just for rich people now.
Right. And that's exactly right. That's what they're doing. They're raising the price so much just so that they can control the number of people. You can control it. Reduce the number of tickets you sell. That's it. It's
Tony's calling it greedflation.
It is. I absolutely agree.
Greedflation. Yeah, that's a great term. I hadn't heard that before. And then Janet says, taking my daughter and her 2 friends Thursday through Saturday, it's costing us bank. This is her 16, 17, and 18th birthday presents
This is
all
the
in
rest.
one. Right.
Yeah, this is all of them.
Yeah.
And now you're an adult, so I'm never buying you another gift.
Happy extra birthday to everything, every other
There you
birthday
go.
you'll ever have under my roof.
Exactly.
Man, I'll tell you, yeah, it's expensive and frustrating. Okay, let's talk about attacks on postal workers, especially here in the Bay Area. This is a hard one. Nearly a dozen people are now facing charges for attacks on postal workers around the Bay Area. U.S. Postal Inspection Service and Department of Justice officials are announcing that 10 people have been arrested and charged with crimes relating to attacks on postal workers or mail theft. The incidents happened around the Bay Area, including San Francisco, the South Bay, and the East Bay. Authorities say thieves target mail in the hopes of stealing money, checks, or packages of high-end merchandise.
Exactly.
They say robbers will attack postal workers to steal mail keys. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, think about it though. I mean, think about all the things that people put into the mailbox, and they're like, "Well, it's just." And I'm sorry, like I always see my mail guy walking around the neighborhood and things like that. It's not like they have any sort of defense. I'm sure they have like dog spray, bear spray, whatever. Like if they get attacked by an animal or something. But I mean, they're just walking around with a bag full of possible cash. You know, credit cards, things like that. And they're like, I could tackle that dude, right? And steal all of his stuff. I would never, of course, but I'm glad they're going after them. It's so mean.
Does it seem like this is kind of a new thing? I mean, because in the past, this is a crime I hadn't heard of. People left the postman alone, or
they
postal
stole out of
worker
mailboxes
alone.
instead of. But again, like everything, it seems like in recent years, these crimes are just being escalated. Look, cars were broken into since cars were created, but it seems like all of a sudden we're seeing such a spike in brazen attacks and things like that. I'm actually surprised that postal workers, you know, not that they've been spared, but it doesn't surprise me in this day and age. People have no moral code. People are awful sometimes, and it's
No
sad.
moral code is right. And that's the similar thing in Oakland, where an investigation is underway into a deadly shooting. This one happened in East Oakland. Officers called to 105th Avenue yesterday afternoon, where they found this victim suffering from a gunshot wound. The victim ended up dying at the scene. No arrests made in connection with this shooting. They don't know what the motive for it was. And it's one of these things like another killing on the streets of Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
if you don't report it, then it just becomes one of these things that are normal. And I say, no, it's not.
It's not.
Speaking of Oakland, an Oakland police officer off the job after being accused of sexual misconduct. The Chronicle reporting the unidentified officer had a complaint filed against him for allegedly engaging in sexual activity while on duty in 2022. Ooh. The officer was accused of meeting a woman on a dating app and showing up to her East Oakland home while on duty. The complaint filed against the officer shortly thereafter.
Okay, let me just say this. I mean, I've never done this. I am 100% telling the truth. I have never had sex while on the clock. Okay. But this doesn't surprise me. Does that make sense? I can see, you're a police officer. Some people think that's really hot, right? Like, okay, you want to come on over and you're police. I can see the guys. I mean, she should obviously be doing other things since Oakland's got a ton of crime problems right now. Like, how about working? But it doesn't surprise me that the guy's trying to get some while he's on the clock. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't either. But you have to be, when you're a police officer and you're in uniform, that you're going to be scrutinized, just like there's cameras everywhere.
He forgot to turn his body cam off. That would be hilarious, right? You're like, hey, dude.
Can you turn it off?
Oh,
I don't know if
you can turn it off. All the time you hear those news reports. Oh, and he turned off his body cam. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you could do that. But I mean, it was totally the wrong thing to do. It puts people's lives at risk because if they need an officer, you're getting your done. But at the same time, a guy in uniform, getting something doesn't really surprise me at all.
Let's go to San Jose.
Oh, let's do that.
A Nevada man is in some trouble for allegedly stealing purses from a Gucci store in San Jose. I mean, if you're going to do this whole mass robbery, go to Gucci.
Yeah.
Sean Pruitt is said to be one of 5 masked men who ran into the Gucci store last week and stole $50,000 worth of merchandise in a matter of seconds. A responding officer was able to grab Pruitt and ultimately take him into custody. The 4 other suspects, though, remain on the loose. Authorities say Pruitt was a wanted fugitive out of Nevada with charges pending against him for other crimes in that state. But it's these rings, these organized retail theft rings. Some of them, they're not from here. They're just part of this organized crime. They come and they're experts in what they're doing. $50,000 in seconds. Now at Gucci, that's pretty easy to do because everything's,
really expensive,
wildly expensive. Yeah. But finally you get an arrest. Somebody gets nabbed here.
Yeah, I was in the mall looking for my dog. We were shopping and getting shoes and stuff like that. And I kept looking around. I'm like, what would I do? Because you see these videos, if like a bunch of people just stormed in a store and started stealing things, and I probably do what we see in the videos. You're just kind of like looking and, some people saying something. I don't know if I'd say anything because you guys got all mad that I said it last time, but I probably still would.
Thief!
Be ashamed of yourself. That's what I think I always want to say.
Expletive.
You should be ashamed of yourself. That's what I would say.
What would your mother do?
Yes. I'd be like, you are the problem. You understand that you're the problem. You are the face of the problem. That guy that's on my screen right now, you are part of the problem. You bring shame upon your community. You bring shame upon your family. And you should be ashamed of yourself. That's what I would say. I'd mom him to death, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think he cares. But you know what? Nice try. Very good try. Let's talk about Will and Jada because
this is so
Will
fascinating
Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been separated since 2016. Pinkett Smith revealed this in a clip from an upcoming primetime interview for NBC that they previously weren't ready to go public with their split. She said they were still trying to figure out between the two of them how to be in a partnership. The two have been married since 1997. They are not legally divorced, but apparently they are separated and have been for years. So
I mean, again, I was listening to this story on the radio driving around this morning, and one of the people asked, so what was the slap all about then? Like, why are you so offended? And I think that it's one, who knows who's really wanting to have the, separation or whatever the hell you want to call them. And 2, because remember they were denying the open relationship talk. Yeah. Of course you don't have an open relationship. You're not in a relationship anymore. It's only for show.
Right.
And how that would just mess with my mind if in public, in conversations, I'd act like this person was my wife or my husband. And then in private, I'm like, yeah, we're not together. We don't, we're not man and wife. And then keep my wife's name out of your MFing mouth. It's not your wife, apparently. So what are you so upset about?
Well, it is because they're legally married still. They're
married,
just not living together.
I feel like she's, and this is just me gossiping.
Yeah.
I feel like she's the instigator of not wanting to be together, perhaps. And I could be completely wrong, but I don't know how right it is that she gives an interview by herself disclosing this, unless we find out that they both agree that this would be the way that it is. Because I would find it to be extremely humiliating if only one side decided to disclose something that we had been keeping secret for so long.
But how interesting, though, that it's just this reminder of Hollywood in general, and we see what they want us to see.
Yeah.
We see what they want us to see. They want you to, the studios say, oh, it's just a good idea if person A is put with person B.
Oh,
the
yeah.
public
Tom
will
Cruise
lap
does
that right
crap
up,
all
right?
the time. Yeah.
The public's going to eat that with a spoon. One wonders if that's what's going on with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Is it more of a marketing opportunity, a money-making opportunity than it ever was a relationship? And hey, if that's the way, if they're taking advantage of public attention to do that, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just hope for people, what I want for people is happiness. And I don't think the Smiths have ever found that.
At least not in recent years. At least, more the more information that comes out about their relationships, the more I think you're absolutely correct. So.
Well, speaking of happiness.
Still didn't buy a ticket, so it still didn't pop, apparently.
No, they're waiting for you.
Oh, yeah. Are you? Did you buy a ticket?
No, but I'm going to today.
I'll probably forget. I never have money on me, so probably won't.
Oh, my God. A historic Powerball jackpot is up for grabs. It is an estimated $1.73 billion.
Crazy.
Oh,
crazy.
Lord.
Somebody on the radio was saying, they're like, look, if I win that, all of my friends will be millionaires.
Yeah.
Every one of them. Because you don't need that much money. I think that much money it has to corrupt you.
Instead of us asking you for money, we're going to have daily cash giveaways on the Nikki Medoro Show.
It's going to be over $2 billion, I feel like, pretty soon. It's just... it's crazy amount of money. It's way too much money.
Wild. It's the second largest jackpot in U.S. history. Hard to win this prize, though. And that's the reason that the jackpot is so high, because they made it so hard to win that it keeps going up and up and up. The prize has been growing since July 19th. With a winning ticket sold in California, they won a jackpot just over $1 billion. Remember, that was the guy in Southern California that keeps buying mansions now, because why not?
Why not? You have a ton of money.
Got so much money to spend, might as well buy this mansion and that mansion, multiple mansions. Oh man, I don't even know what you would do with that much money, but I'll try.
I'll try. I would love to have that problem, right? I want to have the problem of figuring out what to do with almost $2 billion, but I do think that I would be giving a lot of it away. I would have to set up some sort of charity. I would have to not even for tax purposes, just because it's like I need to do something with this money. I can't possibly think that I should be spending all this money on myself. That's just gross.
Beth says a lot of good can be made with access to money like that.
Exactly.
Omar's like, nope, the money's mine.
Hey, good luck, Omar. Absolutely. Good luck.
As long as you contribute to the Nikki Medoro Show, we're good with whoever wins, right?
Yeah,
$1 billion after taxes.
That's fine. Yeah, I think I'll pay the taxes on that. It'll be fine. And then think about investing and then living off. I think I would be so fine that I would want to be so generous. Generous, but in a safe way, not like oh my God, my phone won't stop ringing off the hook, but like a good way,
I love you guys. Brian's already claimed the winnings.
I know, dude. I hope it's somebody we know. That would be if somebody. Can you imagine if somebody came on the show and like I'm a Nikki Medoro Show watcher and I just won the Powerball jackpot? Wow. I'd hope you'd be a Medorable. That's for damn sure.
Harry says it's not billions. It's only 875 mil one-time payout. It is true. It's a little, misleading.
Yeah, because it's a lot that's taken. Obviously, as it gets bigger, the more it's taken out for taxes. Only 875 million. Yeah, I think it'd be fine with that. It's the
dream. You know what's the long? So I have two things. First of all, the longer the jackpot doesn't pop, the longer the dream stays alive. That somehow you could be that 1 in 3 million person, right?
Yeah.
A second, though, and this is my problem with what they've done with making it be these monstrous jackpots. Would you rather have wealth distributed more evenly and say, once every 2 weeks someone wins 5 million, rather than have someone collect a 1.8 whatever billion dollars? It seems nicer to have more people win enough that would secure them for life than to have someone win, than to have this monstrous amount like this.
That's what gets the Powerball so big, is people want the big payout, right? Yeah. I love Eric's comment. He says, I wouldn't be bragging if I won. I'd be very quiet. You know that meme? Quiet. And it's like, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs. What would be the sign that would be very obvious? Like, what would you buy? Or something that you're like, she won the lottery. Like, would it be a car or something? I don't know what I would buy first. I would definitely, no one that like I know would be in debt anymore. I feel like it's like, if you have a mortgage, you don't have a mortgage anymore. If you have a car payment, you don't have a car payment anymore. Like, that's just paid. Like, people are like, all of a sudden, all of my bills are paid for. Yeah, that's what I would want to do something like that. Like, just ease, like my parents would have no mortgage.
Ease the worries of the people you know.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to worry anymore.
Eric says the lottery is a tax on hope. I love that.
It's also true. But it's also, if you don't look, if you're spending your last $1 or $2 on a Powerball ticket and you can't afford it, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. But I love the daydream. That commercial, it's totally right, because when you buy it, you can daydream and it's fun,
Jim says, I would buy a building in downtown San Francisco and convert it into $1 rental apartments for nurses and teachers.
I love that idea. Exactly. I'd build so many schools. I'd make sure that, teachers are paid enough that school classrooms would be like 1 to 12 students or something like that, right? Like, it'd be amazing. It would be. Can you imagine
if it was a nice apartment building for nurses and teachers, how like that place would be spruced up, always clean. It'd be awesome.
Figure out how to do it. I love you, Sam. Thank you for the $10 super chat donation. He says, if I win, 1 million would go to Nikki and Kim. That is a promise.
Oh, Sam.
I love you, Sam. That is amazing.
Sweetest. I've been thinking a lot about Sam lately, actually, with everything happening in the Middle East. And sometimes it seems like coverage is one-sided.
Of course it is.
And I don't want to say that there's ever an excuse to attack anyone.
No.
But having said that, I just, when you have an expert on and it's all very like, there's not any looking at the other side or the reasons for the why at all, sometimes it's frustrating. And so I've been thinking a lot about Sam and reading a lot of what he says in the chat lately. So anyway,
there was
Sam,
to add this one quote that I liked, and I know that AOC, some people have very strong feelings, but she kind of put something, I think she put it on X or something, and she said, people are capable of rejecting both what Hamas is doing to innocent civilians, as well as the grave injustices and violence that Palestinians face under occupation. Those things can't happen in the same conversation. And I loved how she put it that way. Like, what Hamas is doing, there is no justification for.
Right.
You can also not like the occupation of Palestine. You can, those things, are not mutually exclusive.
Do you remember when America was attacked on September 11th?
Yeah, that's what people are calling this.
What they are calling it that, but there were some people that were saying, well, look at the why. Right. And most Americans were like, no, we were attacked. It's 100% unequivocally wrong. All true. But also, why is America so hated in that region?
Right.
Why
what
are
led
people,
up to it?
What made it so that we are, somebody that you want to drop a bomb on or fly a plane into? And why is it wrong to look at that? Why are you then anti-American if you try to look for the reason behind it? And so it's the same thing here with obviously it's wrong to attack people at a music festival and kill children and whatever else. Awful. No excuse for that at all. But also, why is it happening? And trying to understand it. And I'm just so uneducated on all of it, because I think unless you've been paying attention for your entire life and your parents have shared things with you about what happened in history, I've been trying to read so much history of this conflict and that it's been going on for years and why. And just about the time I think I understand it, I'll be talking to someone and they'll say, but you know, this happened. And it's this adds this whole other nuance to the thing. I don't think I'll ever be able to read enough or understand enough why people are so married to this land, right? Why people are fighting to the death over it.
Right.
I'll never understand it.
Well, and it's because it's not your family, it's not your history, it's not
Yep.
your, you know what I mean?
That's
and
right.
so, yeah.
I didn't mean to end on that note. I meant to end on the Powerball note. 1.73
Yes,
billion,
there you go.
everybody.
There you go. There you go.
This report is sponsored right now, at least,
Right now,
until we win the
exactly.
big
There
jackpot.
you go. I won't
by
need any
you.
sponsors if I win the Powerball.
No, it's gonna. I was telling you, it's gonna be a daily cash giveaway if I win. If someone wins in Petaluma, and I didn't say it wasn't me, and I'm
Then
very
it's you.
quiet about it,
Right.
then you'll know it's me.
I love
This
it.
report, though, right now is sponsored by you. Please find our Patreon and PayPal links at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Kim McAllister here on, you got it, it's the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes, exactly. All right. You know what I also wouldn't have to worry about if I won the lottery is paying for college, right? Although I would say this, I feel like education for my kids would be even more important because I don't want to raise some, spoiled little brats, right? Uneducated. I'm just going to live off my daddy and mommy's money for the rest of my life because that ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
Now, I cannot, again, we're on the cusp, Kim, right? We have kids in high school now.
Yep.
They're looking forward to college. I constantly talk to my kids, as I've shared with you, about community college and taking that path, right? Because I don't have billions of dollars to afford every college in the whole entire world. But then I see stories like this, and it makes me wonder. It's like, well, how hard should you be pushing your kid? Because this kid couldn't even get into some of the the colleges that he applied to. I'm going to play you a little bit. I'm going to jump. I'm going to start it off, and then I'm going to jump to another clip within the interview because it's almost 10 minutes long. But this kid applied to so many colleges and probably thought he was a shoo-in for most of them, but he got rejected by nearly all of them. But he still made out because he was offered a job at Google. So here's the story. All thanks to ABC7. Hold on, turn up the volume, dude. There we go.
To probably around 18 schools, and I was rejected from maybe around 15 of those.
In fact, we have a map.
Look at this
showing
map.
all the places that rejected you, not to make you feel worse looking at this list.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop it. UC Davis, Stanford, Berkeley, Cal Poly, UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, Georgia Tech, Cornell. I mean, some of these, I was like, I know that they're already hard to get into, but this guy is really, really smart.
But I can see the usual ones people applied to: Berkeley, Stanford, MIT, Georgia Tech, Cornell, all great places in terms of the academics. And CMU is actually Carnegie Mellon, which is in Pittsburgh. Sorry, we'll put that in the wrong spot. We just wanted to bring them to California. But really also look at some of these: Cal Poly and Santa Barbara and San Diego and Washington. Okay, so I'm not trying to make you feel bad here. I'm just wondering how you felt as each of these letters came in saying, no, thank you, Stanley.
Oh yeah, well, some of them were certainly expected, Stanford, MIT, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for some of them, like Cal Poly, some of the state schools, I really thought,
Couldn't
I
even
had
get
a good chance. And it turns out, however good of a chance I had, I didn't get in.
Okay, well, let's just share your statistics because I
Here
know
we
that
go.
factors into college admissions, right? Your GPA and SAT score?
GPA was 4.42 weighted. SAT score was 1590.
Okay. And
Out of 1,600.
in fact, I think we have that on a graphic just so folks can see that. But in addition to statistics, because we know that's not everything, right? When you're
Like, look
talking
at
about
this.
applying to the elite schools, what are some of these coding competitions that you did well in?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
he was in this Google Code Jam coding contest in the semifinals, led his team to second place in MIT's Battle Code Global High School Division. I mean, so the kid was smart, really, really smart. I'm going to jump forward to his dad being asked, how he felt about it, because I always, obviously as a parent, very curious about that.
Matt that rejected him, but how did it make you feel?
Certainly disappointing. And what I worry is that whether he's going to be emotionally stressed. Luckily, he still gets some good results, and therefore he's okay with it. And on top of that, I think the Google offer really is a lucky turn of event. But it's a luxury that most kids like his situation won't be able to have.
So you did get into a couple of schools, right? I understand you got into Texas and Maryland, right? Good schools. Are you not attending then since you got this Google job?
Yeah, I actually went to University of Texas's orientation. But once the Google offer came through, I thought, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to take it. And we'll see in a year from now, do I still want to attend University of Texas or should I stick with Google?
Okay. And that's the question that I have for all of you. What do you think he should do? If you were that guy's parents, if you're sitting with him on ABC 7 News, and yeah, you're stoked because, he got a job at Google, would you say, yes, that's fine. Go ahead. You don't have to go to college after all of this work. I mean, I'm not saying that he did all the things he did in school, AP classes. That's how he got over a 4.0. The coding, all that sort of thing, the starting of a nonprofit, which was the shirt he was wearing, which is kind of like a DocuSign, but it's free. All those things that you did to get in these top tier schools. Forget it because you got a job at Google. What would you advise this kid to do? And I know Grady has a great point. You do not need college to be super successful. Many of the people we kind of like put up on this pedestal either quit college or never went to, right? But he did work his butt off. I'm assuming it didn't come easy in high school. Is he making the better choice to just skip college? Because once you start working at Google, you're going to start making Google money. You going to give up that money?
It's going to be hard to go back. But listen, Google just had layoffs.
Exactly.
You might get offered a job at Google today, and 5 years down the road, you're out on your rear end on the sidewalk, and Google's kicked you to the curb. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
And then what do you do? Because now you're trying to get these tech jobs, and there's so much competition that if you don't have a degree, you're in the no pile, even if you can do the job, right?
Well, I mean, but if you're putting in a resume, and instead of the spot that says the college, you put all of the accolades you did in high school, right? And then say, yeah, and then I just went straight to Google. Is that similar? And I know it's not exactly the same, going straight, getting signed with a professional sports team out of high school. I know you need at least, I think, a college something, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People get scouted is what I mean in like high school. Is it?
So he's really smart. And
he's very smart.
If I were his mom, I would say, listen, take the job at Google and also
go to college.
Enroll in community college at whatever Mountain View Community College, right? That's down there by Google. I don't know what it's called, but there's something in the South Bay that you can go to college and do your first 2 years. And then you're much more likely to get into a Cal, a Stanford. UCLA has a pilot program where they're prioritizing transfer student admissions. And if you have, and it's a GPA that's,
you don't need like a 4.2 weighted GPA.
It's like a pittance. It's like a, less than a 3.0, like a 2.75, like a C average or something, which I get it. Not everyone is capable of the, 4.42 that this kid achieved.
Not everybody can take AP classes or has the time to do that, right?
But for him, a 2.7 or whatever the transfer agreement requirement is will be a cakewalk, even if he's working at Google at the same time. And taking a normal load. In 2 years, he's got his first 2 years done, and then he also has some work experience under his belt, and then he can go, have the college experience that he wants if he gets into Cal or UCLA or whatever, and stay local.
Lori says he's probably better off. He can use the job as leverage for future applications. Better to get real world experience before college. At least you know some things you don't want to do, speaking from experience. Good point. I see a lot of you kind of making assumptions about why he was rejected. Of course, they don't give you a reason why you're rejected. They're not going to say, as I know I'm seeing in some of it, it's because you're Asian and we have our quota of Asians. Okay. Now, could that have been the reason? I don't know. I'm not going to, I highly doubt this is just my opinion. Of course, I have no understanding of college admissions. I'm not on the board, but I would say this. There is a desire from what anecdotally I've heard from colleges that they want to create a diverse student body, that they want to give opportunities from people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. And I would say that as parents continue to push their kids to just be such, excel, right? APs, all these sorts of things, that pool of students that do all those things is growing. And so I'm not saying you should just fail some classes to make it seem diverse, but at the same time, it's not unique to start a nonprofit, especially in California and the Bay Area. Starting a nonprofit, starting your own company. Oh, I learned how to code and I created this computer program. I would be stoked if my kids would do that. I don't know how close my kids are to doing something like that, but I'm just saying it's not a unique story anymore.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So,
and think of all the people we're leaving behind because of that.
I know.
That are really, really
I'm
smart.
not saying it's right, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like in some instances, although I am blown away by this kid's accomplishments, and he should be extremely proud of himself, and so should his parents, it's not enough to make you stand out anymore. And that's sad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's right. I'm just saying, outside looking in, I could see that playing a role. It's like, oh, okay, there's all this person did something like that, and it's not unique anymore.
In my stack of Asian kids that are applying to college, I'll take these that have the 4.8. The guy that has the 4.42 is way down here.
Apparently,
and that could be the kid that obviously has already started his own business or what have you. That could be the kid that comes up with the next great idea, or he's obviously well-rounded. Right. And he's very good at speaking and expressing himself and seems like a really cool person. I like when a kid has a 3.87 because it shows me that they focused on other things.
Right.
Rather than just being perfect.
And they also face some struggle. Not saying it's not a struggle to get a 4.8 or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, you weren't perfect. Right. Let's see what else you've done with your life. Now, Lori makes an excellent point because remember, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Lori says tons of applicants from Palo Alto High School and Gunn, very good elite high schools. Too many from one area can be a problem. Remember, I told you people from New York were moving their kids to Arkansas because we need more Arkansas kids. And they're like, okay, we'll move, which is totally crappy, but that makes sense, Lori.
Just reading an article about the top 10 niche high schools in California from the company called Niche, and both of them were on the list. And they're the only two public high schools in the state on the list. Those ones she just mentioned.
I think I saw that. Wasn't like one high school is like 6-1 or something like that, or what? Oh, maybe it was a private school. I'm like, can you imagine learning and there's only 5 other students in the classroom?
Yeah.
But I looked up the tuition of that school. It was for transitional kindergarten, TK, $60,000 a year. That's me having to win the Powerball first. Like, that ain't happening. I am not paying $60,000 a year for TK. Not saying TK is not important. Although early education, it has been documented. It makes a difference, but
it does make a difference. But how wasteful.
You better give my kid a gold bar as a treat every day. Are you freaking kidding me? No,
it's learning it's learning your letter sounds and your your very beginning numbers and your colors, and it's learning how to get along with other kids. And the reason that they say that kids that go to preschool or TK, like when they're 3 or 4, are more successful and more likely to go to college is because they have that foundation of being in a classroom earlier, right? And the foundation of learning how to get along with people and all of these things. You don't need to pay $60,000 to have that experience.
I would hope. I mean, I like the smaller classrooms. I'm assuming the location and the housing and whatever is expensive, but $60K a year from how many students? I don't care if there's 6 in a classroom. You have at least 12. Right. Yeah. So that's a lot of freaking money every year. Now, Maud says she worked for the Gunn family. Really good people.
Wow.
Great. Their high school students. Well, that's a public high school. But oh my God, Nikki, $60,000 for TK is for the lawyers and bankers who put their kids with judges and mayors and senators' kids. So see, it's the 1%ers, the 0.01%ers. I don't know. I'm not knocking it. You know what I mean? I want to win the Powerball. I'd love to. I don't know though. You know what, Kim? I don't know if I still can justify paying. Would I still be cheap? I wonder.
Yes.
I think I might be. I'm like $60K for TK. No. I don't think so.
No, you'd be thinking.
I'll hire my own teacher, and
I could feed X number of people at the food bank for this much a year. with this $60,000. You'd be looking at the $60,000 and going, here's all the things I could do with it. What makes the most sense? Right.
Now, Vicky says at the Hamlin School in San Francisco, it is over $60K a year, but it's really excellent. Way better than public school. It better be. Look, I'm not doubting it's a better school. It better be, because if I'm paying $60,000 freaking dollars for something like TK, my kid better be doing calculus by first. I don't freaking know, but that's too much money. That's too much money.
There's a school in Sonoma County. It's the Sonoma Country Day School.
Okay, I think I've heard of Country Day School.
Right. And so it's very expensive from what I understand. I don't go there, so I don't pay that bill. But my children rather don't go there. But I have a friend who really wanted her kids to go there. So she ended up volunteering, and then now she's like a sports coach at the place.
Okay.
And so she put her 2 kids in there and is getting a monstrous discount because she managed to get a job working there. Great. Whatever is important to you, whatever you want to do.
Right.
But what she does say is they have all these things that public schools don't have. So they have these amazing performing arts programs, and it's not parents like me volunteering.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like professionals coming in.
Exactly.
Yes. Their science program is taught by someone that has a background at NASA. Like all these things that they're getting at this school because they can, parents are paying.
Yes.
That's right. So are there better opportunities? Are people learning? I think you can still learn the same things even if you don't have the NASA person come in and teach you science.
But it's pretty cool when they do, right?
It's cool when they do, and it's a great opportunity for her kids. But I think all things, if you look at the experience her kids are getting versus the experience my kids are getting, maybe my kids didn't have the leg up that her kids will have. But does it mean that my kids can't be a neurosurgeon if they want to?
Of course not.
No.
Nope.
Does it mean her kids are going to be a neurosurgeon? I'm just picking that, as like some inachievable thing.
Right.
Very difficult to do. No, I think it has to do with your drive, no matter what school you're put into. You can do that. You just have to work your rear end off for it.
Look, you know what is it? C's or D's get degrees, right? I mean, it's just because, you get an MD, you didn't have to get the 4.8, right? But you could still become a doctor. Now, does somebody want the 4.8 doctor versus the 2.8 doctor? Probably, but nobody ever asks because that's how much it doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't know. I would advise the kid to still go to school. I like your idea. Work at Google. Someone mentioned like night classes. Take a couple classes so that you're still in the pipeline and you're still in the mind of going to school. Because if you start making that Google money and you start, fluffing yourself up and thinking that you're all that hot crap, right? You could be missing something that is very vital. But maybe not. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this kid. I'm sure we'll get an update at some point.
I would love for Google to take such an interest in someone like that, that they allow him to take time off for school.
Maybe they will. I don't know. I don't know what his job exactly is. I'm assuming he's like on
sure he's going to be some type of engineer.
Yeah, developing and whatever. I mean, he did his whole nonprofit again was a free version of like DocuSign, which even when I didn't play that part for you, even when he described it, and I'm just told, I don't know this kid, so I don't really know how he talks. He was describing it like it was a checkbox. Like, yeah, I just did this thing. Yeah, it's like a free version, except mine's free. It's basically like DocuSign. It's like he created it just to put it on his resume, which is still amazing. I couldn't freaking do that.
Well, do that. They do that now, especially if you apply at Google. There's a whole section for do you have anything copyrighted, or what exactly have you developed that has turned into some type of peer reviewed thing. It's not enough to just have gone to a certain school or have a certain job. Like, what have you actually done? What have you created that now exists in the world because you made it? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it would be funny if like a woman that had like a kid was like, I created this is what I do with my free time. This right here. Now Eric says, I don't think I want the doctor who placed last in class. Do you know where your doctor placed is my point. Not that I want that doctor, but I don't know. I don't know my doctor's GPA. Nobody asks that. Now, do I want the top? Of course. If I have to send my kid to a surgeon, I want it to be the best surgeon. But do you know how I find out if it's the best surgeon? From the nurses and the other medical professionals and those sorts of things. I'm not going to the college and looking at their transcripts and seeing where they ranked in class. And that's because nobody does that. I don't think. So that was my point. Not that I want that person. I'm just saying. And I do also agree that it does matter where. I'm not saying, and I think Kim's point also, yes, it matters where you go to school. But it just because you don't go to those high achieving small classroom schools doesn't mean you can't still be just as successful, if not more successful than some people that did go there. It's not like, oh, I'll never be that way because they got that education. No, you just got to work it a different way. And that's all you have to do. Okay, I want to get to this story because now again, when we're talking, I was horrified yesterday. I was working in San Francisco. We were carrying the president's address to the nation regarding what's happening along the Gaza Strip and in Israel. And I don't even want to say the words because we all know what's been going on. Okay. If you don't, it's horrific. It is horrific. I'm going to say this. There is no justification for what is happening to people, to innocent civilians, to infants. Zero. I'm not going to justify it in any way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
There is no justification. That is not what I'm talking about here. I wanted to kind of take a different angle on this topic. Do you think that during this horrific time in Israel, that it is okay to express your support for what is happening to the Palestinian people outside of what is happening right now, right? The occupation, the apartheid, this is how they're describing it, right? The poverty, all sorts of things that have been issues between Israel and Palestine for a very long time. The reason I bring this up is because Harvard has several, I want to say over 20 different organizations that are pro-Palestine. I'm just going to name a couple. Harvard Law School Justice for Palestine. Harvard Divinity School Students for Justice in Palestine. Harvard Jews for Liberation. Harvard Kennedy School Muslim Caucus. Okay, so the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And I don't think that and I'm just going to say this. There's nothing wrong with forming a group at college in which you debate and discuss your support for whatever. Okay? But now we have to add to the conversation the horrific tragedy that is happening right now. So there's this hedge fund manager by the name of Bill Ackman. He's the CEO of Pershing Square. And he posted on Twitter, X. He's like, I've been asked by a number of CEOs if Harvard would release a list of the members of each of the Harvard organizations that have issued the letter assigning sole responsibility for Hamas's heinous acts to Israel, so as to ensure that none of us inadvertently hire any of their members. He goes on to write, if in fact their members support the letter they have released, the names of the signatories should be made public so their views are publicly known. One should not be able to hide behind a corporate shield when issuing statements supporting the actions of terrorists who we now learn have beheaded babies, among other inconceivably despicable acts. Do you think, this is my basic question, that instead of this, it signed this college or this club at Harvard College, it should have the literal names of each member that supports that letter so that in the future, CEOs, companies, all those sorts of things can decide whether or not they want to hire somebody that would put their name to that letter. Now, Lori says Ackman has no right to ask this. I would sue if part of any group of Harvard provides names. Let companies do their own research on applicants. They can find social media posts during the hiring process. Excellent point, Lori. Excellent point. Like, should they be like, I'm not going to tell you who's in the club. You can do that on your own. And do you think the student should have signed their own name if they felt that way?
I mean, either you believe something with your whole heart or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you believe it enough to sign your name to it, then you should be willing to accept the consequences for what that means for you, right? So maybe you don't want to work for the guy that doesn't want you anyway. Maybe you don't want to work for that company if you believe, differently than he does and so fervently then stand up for what you believe in. And, and if you don't have that strong of feelings, don't sign the letter. If you don't want the consequences of what your thoughts are in the world,
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a hard one because it seems like if you consider that there may be reason, not that anything ever condones violence like this ever, but if you consider at all the plight of the folks that are on the other side of the border, then all of a sudden people are think you're anti-Semitic when that couldn't be furthest from the truth. Right? Like maybe you're pro people, maybe you're pro like no children dying at all. And it was Malala Yousafzai. Remember her?
Yeah.
Yousafzai.
She was shot in the face. Yeah, because she wanted to work for kids, girls going to school.
So she came out yesterday with this statement, and it was something that resonated with me because she said something about war doesn't differentiate between children.
Oh no. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's what I was saying on Monday. It's children are dying on both sides of this. There are people dying on both sides of this. And can you be sad for all of it?
Yeah.
And without being pegged as a either anti-Semitic or anti-Palestinian or whatever it is, because none of that's true.
Right.
Maybe you just don't want people to die. Any people, no matter what their descent or what they believe in.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that, especially when we're talking about something that is, decades of conflict, we're talking about generations involved in this, right? And when you don't have a direct tie to it, that's why I loved the fact that Mark was talking to John Rothman and, and getting different people's perspectives is very, very important. Now, Gordon asked the question, why should people be punished for their views? People are punished for their views all of the time, right? That's the whole upsetness with social media and cancel culture. I'm putting that in quotes, right? Because most of the people that get canceled are doing just fine.
Well, I mean, what if you come out and you're a Nazi? Or you're part of the KKK, or you are the one protesting the rights of trans people to exist at the local library. What if hey, think what you want to think, but again, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence.
Exactly.
So, if I have a business and I see that you're wearing the white hood in my community, I'm absolutely not going to hire you.
Exactly. Now, Jim says if John Hancock signed and knew he might hang for it, then you sign something, you should accept the consequence. If you truly feel this way. And again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They are, many people are saying they are using the conflict, the Palestinian conflict to justify their actions. There is no justification for what they're doing to innocent lives. There's no justification. You could be, again, and like I quoted AOC, you could totally understand and be against, what is happening to the Palestinian people and the occupation there. You can be against that, which I'm assuming these Harvard organizations, that's why these clubs had formed, and still speak out against what Hamas is doing. Like those two things I feel can happen.
When you think of the people that are in Gaza, I wonder if it's like when Trump was president in the United States. People look at Americans traveling and they say, what are you guys doing over there in America? Wow. Right. Did everyone look at America and think we were all a bunch of rabid, crazy pro-Trumpers?
Perfect example. Exactly.
Or if the people in Gaza, maybe they don't all support Hamas. Maybe they don't all have the same feelings about this. And so you can't, I wonder, maybe you can, maybe I'm wrong, but I would not like to be pigeonholed when people think of Americans as
of course.
Some MAGA hat wearing, crazy vaccine denying weirdo, right? So I don't know. I just wonder if there's more about them that we don't understand. And if we can't lump them all together as all a bunch of terrorists when it's the terrorist organization that's doing this. But again, I don't know enough about it. I'm so I just don't have enough information to really level a valid opinion other than to say that any violence especially the kind of violence where you have a sneak attack against people and you're killing the innocent. No. I'm
and how would you feel if your daughter or son, and we could take this conflict out of it. Any sort of club that might be a tad bit controversial. I mean, releasing their names. I raise my children one of the things, and my daughter even says this, like, don't ever say anything behind people's backs or behind closed doors that if it came out in public, you'd be ashamed of, or that you wouldn't stand by, right? Like I said it, and it could be wrong. And I'm not saying that you always have to be right in every opinion that you spew, but you said it, you admit you said it, and then you either justify it or apologize for it, right?
Same thing with typing it online, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, if my kid was part of a club that was controversial, I would hope that they would fully understand what the consequence of that can be, especially in this day and age with social media. You don't think, I don't know, if you take club pictures, right, and they go into the yearbook, that's going to lump you in with a bunch of people that you may not want to be lumped in with 10, 20 years from now. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as preemptively saying, Bill Ackman, I want all these people because I never want them to walk through my doors. That's a strong statement. But a lot of people are agreeing with him, at least online, and I'm just going to add this as a final before we go and do some headlines. Be careful of even using X right now. Did you see this story of all the fake stories that are being shared on X? Apparently there was footage of an urban landscape that was illuminated by red flashes, and that was supposedly the Israeli bombardment of Gaza. Nope, it was fireworks in Algeria. There was a video with hundreds of thousands of views that allegedly was an Israeli helicopter being shot down by Hamas. It was a video game clip. So again, we don't need to see videos to understand what's going on there. But before you share something on social media, especially about this, really do your due diligence, because you can pay $8 and you can get that blue check mark or whatever the hell they're charging now. And it could be a completely fake account that is just going to drum up more myths and disinformation than ever before. So I don't know. I don't like Bill Ackman's stance. I understand why people might support it, but this conflict is horrific enough. It really is. All right. Let's do some headlines. I want to switch gears. I do want to get to Mary Lou Retton. How many Mary Lou Retton fans did we have out there? She's only in her 50s, but she's really, really sick. So they have this, it's not a GoFundMe. It's, what is it? It is a spot fund. And let me open it up real quickly. So the spot fund right now is $257,740. It's put on by her daughter, McKenna Kelly. So they only were wanting $50K. She has no health insurance, though. What does that say? What does that say? That an American Olympian gold medalist doesn't even have health insurance in this country. That tells you a lot. All right. You guys click the thumbs up button. Show your support of the show. Make sure you're subscribed. We absolutely love it. We'll talk about Mary Lou Retton. We'll lighten things up towards the end of the show. I appreciate y'all. Here's some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
We will go back because, of course, it is the lead in the news. We'll go back and we'll talk about what's happening in Israel and in the Gaza Strip. And what we know now, Nikki, is that at least 22 Americans have been killed from Hamas attacks in Israel. The State Department confirmed that number today as night fell in this region and Israeli fighter jets continued to hit the Palestinian militant group in Gaza. The fighting has left more than 2,200 people dead. NBC News reports between 100 and 150 people have been taken hostage, and Hamas has threatened to execute them if Israel hits Gaza civilians without warning.
I mean, the fact that, it's not that we should only care now that there's Americans that are caught up in that number. We should care because these are human beings and innocent civilians that are being dragged from their homes and killed or used as hostages and used as a bargaining chip. But when you hear some of these local stories, right? I mean, and especially because this was a holy time of year, and they exploited that. They exploited the fact that a lot of people would be gathering. It is horrifying. And again, like I mentioned on Monday, my parents were supposed to be there in a couple of weeks, and it's just one of those things where you can't just help but just be like, just because they were lucky that those were the dates that they were able to get. That's the only reason why they weren't there now. My parents have been wanting to go. My mom was straight up said, she's like, I'm not going. Like, the last time they were supposed to go to Israel, COVID happened.
Yep.
And then she needed a bunch of surgeries. And so now this was the second or third time that they were trying to go. And she said, I even prayed about it. She's like, God, if I'm not supposed to go, just send me a sign. And I don't know a worse sign, but yeah, they're not going.
Well, you mentioned the local stories, and there is a local story from California. This woman who was a Californian was attending this music festival near Gaza. She says, this is so awful. She says she hid under bodies to avoid being seen. Lee Sassi said in an interview she gave the interview to News Nation that she hid with her uncle and a friend, both of whom died in the Palestinian militant group Hamas's attack. Her cousin, who's pregnant, is missing and thought to have been kidnapped. Sassi telling News Nation that militants laughed as they shot the concert goers. She also said she lost hearing in one of her ears from gunshots and rockets. Awful.
I mean, yeah, I don't understand how you can do something like that to people and then to laugh. I don't know that kind of hate. I don't know that kind of hate.
No. And that's why I think I can never truly understand it. I don't get it. The three candidates vying for Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat, the late Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat in the Senate, have made statements regarding the Hamas attacks on Israel. On the surface, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee seem to be in sync, condemning the terrorist attack, but there seem to be a little bit of subtle differences in this case. Adam Schiff said about Porter's statements of equal concern for Palestinian and Israeli lives that she sounded like far-left supporters of Palestinians, saying there are no two sides here, only one side. In May, Porter and Schiff both voted yes on legislation supporting Israel, while Lee chose not to vote on that measure.
Wow. You know what? I know we were just talking about not signing your name to something. So I think that's an interesting story given what we were just talking about.
The horrific terrorist attack in Israel is causing a Salinas temple to step up security. And as a matter of fact, we're hearing this around the Bay Area where security is being increased at synagogues. Temple Beth El president, Dr. Joseph Chuddy, says he's afraid the attack will bring a rise of anti-Semitic hate crimes. The Anti-Defamation League says the anti-Semitic incidents reported across the U.S. rose by 36% in 2022. And Dr. Chuddy says the Salinas Police Department will be helping to keep his place of worship safe. Now, sad that you have to have the police come to places of worship, but I guess that's where we are.
That's not, but sadly also, it's not new. It's not new.
The United Auto Workers strike is now in its 27th day. This comes as UAW members are currently on strike at 43 different facilities across the country. Union President Shawn Fain had been adding more plans to the strike as negotiations with the big three automakers continue. Last week, he decided not to add any to the picket line. So does that mean there's been some progress?
I don't know. We have breaking news from Maude. Yep. Thank you, Maude, for this. Scalise was just nominated. Hopefully those against Jordan will vote for Jeffries. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But good. Again, it's I don't like either. But if I had to choose between Jordan and Scalise, I'm glad that they decided to go Scalise and not Jordan.
The lesser of evils, right? I don't know. It's frustrating, and they do it all behind closed doors. So,
and their leader, so they could do what they want again. But
so there is a story that just broke on CNN that the House GOP did pick Steve Scalise as a speaker nominee, but that it's unclear if he has enough votes to win it.
Right. But at least they're putting they're hitching their horse or their ride to that horse and not the other.
California can keep its ban on high-capacity guns in gun magazines. The ban affects magazines that can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. A divided federal appeals court says it can remain in effect for now, while the state appeals another judge's ruling that found it unconstitutionally violated the rights of firearms owners. California's Attorney General says he is relieved that the court considered the public safety of Californians in making its decision. The California Rifle and Pistol Association says it's a disappointment and vows to defend the rights of gun owners in California all the way to the Supreme Court.
You still have your gun, morons. You still have your guns. We're just trying to ban these high capacity magazines that can slaughter people in 2 seconds. It's so freaking stupid. And I get so mad at gun right wackos for not understanding that. So annoying.
I mean, maybe you have a right to the gun, but do you have a right to the gun that, kills 20 people in 2 seconds?
They want no limitations. It's my constitutional right. Human lives be damned. How dare I be inconvenienced of having to change my magazine more? Kick rocks, a-hole. Drives me nuts.
So I was sitting at I don't know if I mentioned this on Monday. I was sitting at a park in Petaluma with a new friend, the mom of a new friend that Jacob made at school. Mm-hmm. And they just moved here from the Middle East. She's
you did say that.
Lebanese descent.
Yes.
And how we're sitting at the park talking about safety. And I'm thinking, safety? I mean, it might look safe here, but there's guns all over the place. Bullets can come flying at any moment. You just don't know. Exactly. And that's the kind of thing. It's like, it's frustrating.
Exactly.
Well, more than that, anger inducing. The Express. Do you ever go to the Express? I haven't been there since I was
store Express. I used to love Express.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in the 80s, I was a big fan of the Express. Well,
I was more early aughts, probably. I shopped. I was more of a Wet Seal, Contempo Casual.
Oh, you're so funny. I remember those places. The Wet Seal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The Express clothing store in Union Square is now yet another retailer closing its doors.
Shops at Express. I hate when they do these stores. When's the last time? When is the last time? All of you guys, it's the doom loop. When's the last time you shopped at Express? Right. That's why they're going away. Nobody shops at Express anymore.
A sign on the door says the store will close October 22nd. So Nordstrom, Uniqlo, Old Navy, they've also left Union Square. Last week, Starbucks announced it'll close several stores in downtown San Francisco, including the Union Square store. Several other high-profile businesses also recently announced closures in the downtown area. Target announced it will be closing stores due to excessive shoplifting. And of course, we know Westfield Mall near Union Square says declining sales have left them turning over their mall back to the bank. Mm-hmm. Like, we're walking away, man. We don't even want to be here, right? Mm-hmm. Saturday Night Live is returning to the airwaves this weekend with comedian Pete Davidson as the co-host.
Yeah, that's right.
The former SNL cast member told Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show that it's a pretty big deal. He also admitted that when he got the SNL gig years ago, his mother wanted him to take the test to become a New York City sanitation worker, just in case his new job didn't work out.
There you go.
You know how it goes.
There you go.
This job, pending the lottery win, is funded by you. And it is. Yeah, it's a crowdfunded kind of deal. Please check our website out, thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. That's where you'll find the Patreon link and the PayPal link. There's a link to the Nikki merch as well. So there's a link to the podcast there. There's all kinds of links. It's link heavy. So check it out, thenikkimedoroshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister. You have it on the Nikki Medoro Show.
And again, get your raffle tickets. This is the last week that you can buy the raffle tickets. Get them in early. I've got a long list of names, and thank you to everybody that's been buying up a lot of tickets. Many of you are buying more than one ticket, but one gets you in. So it's $20 a ticket. We're only accepting payment through PayPal. So go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and then put in the email, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Also include that it's for the raffle and your email address so I can contact you if you're the winner. And if the winner lives within or can get within 50 miles of San Jose, I will personally deliver the box to you. So the drawing, the announcement of the winner is going to happen on Tuesday. Yeah, less than a week. On Tuesday, which is the 1-year anniversary of this show. Okay, people. So let's get into Mary Lou Retton. Okay. I love Mary Lou Retton. I have some pictures. I mean, this is who I remember, right?
Didn't we call her, wasn't she called America's sweetheart?
Oh yeah, she was like
she was going through
America's sweetheart. Because like, look, here she is. Like, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. She was so cute. She was, she was so talented.
Yep.
She was the first. Hold on, I want to get this statistic right. Her gold medal was historic. She was the first American woman to win the all-around gold medal in Olympic gymnastics. And she also had this. I don't know how many of you did. Anyone have the Get in Shape girl?
I had an album similar to this, but mine was not Mary Lou Retton. It was Joni Greggins.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had the Joni Greggins album.
Yeah. So I had this in the top left corner. It says Mary Lou Retton. I had this. I could still see myself as a little girl sitting in my closet, like going through this, having the cassette tape, having the ribbon. I really loved it. I was into dance and gymnastics and things like that. So it made sense that I had it.
Yeah.
But anyways, she is going through a tough time. She has this rare form of pneumonia, according to her daughter. Let's see. She has a pneumonia. She's quote unquote fighting for her life in the intensive care unit. Her daughter, McKenna Lane Kelly, said on Instagram, her mother is not able to breathe on her own. She'd been in the ICU for more than a week. Now, we don't know more, except apparently this is a very rare form of pneumonia. There hasn't been too many interviews with her. Now, Mary Lou Retton is 55 years old. So 55 and no health insurance. I'm going to share my screen so you could see the GoFundMe that they have going up. It's called, and I've not seen this one before. It's called Spot Fund. So there she is. Mm-hmm. She still looks great. Almost $258,000. Look at this person donated $50,000. Jeez Louise.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently, I went on her daughter's Instagram page, and because of the conflict in Israel and them raising money for families and stuff, they've been really overloaded. But there you go. If you want to donate, apparently I think they've gotten rid of the fees on Spot Fund to donate. So yeah, John, excellent point. You could be in the best shape possible and pneumonia can take you out just like that.
She was on Dancing with the Stars, right?
Was she? I don't watch that show.
I found this picture of her as well.
Oh, she
Dancing
looks
with
great.
the Stars. Yeah. She does look great. And that just kind of makes that point that this can wipe you out. And so you were saying earlier that she's not poor necessarily.
So I looked up her net worth, and according to the internet, it says she's worth $2 million.
But when you are comatose, which she's on life support, and she's been on life support in the hospital for a week, you know how quickly that can suck through your entire life savings? I don't care if you have $50 or $2 million. I mean, that hospital bill is going to be monstrous.
Right. But I mean, the fact that she's not insured. So her daughter wrote on the Spot Fund, she's all, out of respect for her and her privacy, I will not disclose all the details about her health. However, I will disclose that she's not insured. Now, I'm not saying that if you win a gold medal, that for the rest of your life, your insurance is covered. I wish that we lived in a country where everyone had health insurance.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I just, no, I don't think that it's COVID, Spencer. I don't know. They didn't make any sort of connection to COVID. Pneumonia can happen, right? Vicky says it's probably fungal or something weird. Maybe. Again, they didn't give any more details than that. Calvin says ex-Olympians don't have health care for life. Gold medal winner too. Exactly. Like, I don't know why that part hit me in the gut. Like, God, there's no hope for any American if a gold medal winning American can't get health insurance in this country. I mean, it blows my mind. Look at that. She was so good. I also didn't realize this. So during the whole Larry Nassar, sexual abuse of gymnastics scandal that brought in Simone Biles and so many people, Mary Lou Retton, America's sweetheart and that fabulous smile, she was brought in, I think, by the gymnastics organization, USA Gymnastics, to be against a bill that included Senator Dianne Feinstein, the late senator, to try to convince her to drop her bill. It was the Protecting Young Victims from Sexual Abuse and Safe Sport Authorization Act of 2017. And she got a lot of blowback for it. Now, apparently, I was reading and I was trying to, figure out, like, was she really against it? And what I've gathered, at least from some analysis, is not that she was against protecting, but USA Gymnastics wanted to use her and say, oh, we do have all of these safeguards in place for these young girls to kind of remove the pressure from them, like that they weren't doing anything enough to protect these gymnastics from these predators. And so they brought in Mary Lou Retton to kind of be the face of it. But look at her. She's on the Wheaties box. Remember? Yeah. They still make Wheaties, right? But remember when, like, being on the cover of Wheaties was like the thing for athletes? It's like, oh, I made it on the Wheaties box. She was on the Wheaties box. Vilma says, doesn't she have health insurance through her husband, or is she divorced? Eric says she's divorced. But still, you shouldn't need to be married to have health insurance. It pisses me off. This country's, we have our priorities completely messed up. We just do. We need health insurance, or a lack thereof can break you. And I'm sorry, and it's sad to also say this, $2 million ain't a lot of money nowadays.
No.
It's not. I think she's a spokesperson right now, or she's a motivational speaker is the last kind of job that I saw for her online. I mean, does she bring in? I do also feel like Dancing with the Stars kind of conveys something, because usually you're on Dancing with the Stars if you need to fix your image or you need some money, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're kind of a B-list celebrity, but she's an Olympian. It's kind of like our veterans, right? You're supposed to be a symbol of America, and we can't make sure that you have health insurance. It bothers me. It really bothers me to no end.
Do you want to hear what's happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene, or do you not care?
Is it good? Am I going to be pleased by this? What? She's not up for speaker, is she?
No, but she's given a list of demands to Republican candidates as they prepare to vote for a new speaker, and she released them on X. Twitter,
of course she
X.
did.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. I'm going to Google it while you talk.
Here's her demands. No matter, this is what she posts. No matter who the next speaker is, my issues and red lines do not change. No money for COVID anything. No money for COVID anything.
Just die. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Stop the weaponized government.
You freaking wish, but as you stand there with your freaking guns, but whatever. Okay.
Stop the weaponized government. Stop transgender surgeries on kids.
It's not up to you, but thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay.
Secure our border.
Okay, that's fine. I support that.
Put America first.
Well, I got that. But see, those are like sound bites. Put America first. Which Americans? Not the transgender Americans that you were just talking about, right? Not those ones. Not the ones that want, medical freedom.
Not the ones, apparently not the ones dying of COVID either. No.
Not the ones dying of COVID. Not the ones that want universal health care. Yeah. Thank you, Marjorie. Which Americans? The ones that probably look like you and think like you.
That's right.
Freaking asshat. I can't. Another person. She is a symbol of the problem of government nowadays, right? And she's just, oh my God, she's coming out with a book. Oh God. Okay, I'm not even going to promote it. Never mind. She didn't come out with crap. Nope. Never mind. But yeah. I just wonder, because Kevin McCarthy apparently made some concessions to her. It's because there's no true control of the House, right? They don't really have control of the House. They don't have enough votes to kind of not need Democrats, but they're splintered because of people like MTG and Gates and all those others. So, good. I love seeing the Republican Party implode, right? I do. Yeah. I wish that they didn't. I wish that they would work across the aisle. I wish they were in their right mind. I wish they'd stop, defending Trump. I wish they'd stop denying elections. I wish all those things so we can get back to the people's business. But alas, the cancer that our people like MTG continue. So what a moron. Okay. So anyways, if you want to back to our girl, Mary Lou Retton, if you want to donate, spotfund.com, you could just Google it. Just look, but it's SpotFund. It's not GoFundMe. So don't do GoFundMe. Because I think somebody mentioned earlier it only had 50K. I'm not quite sure that that's the one. No. SpotFund is definitely the one that's through her daughter. But staying on gymnastics really quickly, I want to show you another picture. Now, who is mixing up these two people? Apparently, people at the Wall Street Journal. So Simone Biles has called out the Wall Street Journal for using a photo of a different gymnast in an article about her. So do I have the picture? I thought I had.
Who
here it is.
Responsible?
No,
they look wildly different.
Well, that's not Simone Biles right there. Reuters actually did this, but it was Washington Post as well. American Simone Biles won her 6th all-around title at the Artistic Gymnastics World Championships. Biles has now claimed a total of 27 world medals. And Simone's like, that's not even a picture of me. Try again.
It's a little far away, though, I will say, in their defense.
Well, that picture that I just showed you was online on Twitter. No, it's not a small picture. It's a small picture there.
Yeah, it's a small picture there. Like, you can't, it looks far away. They're wearing the same outfit. So from far away, maybe, although one's very tall, one is not.
They're not even the same coloring.
No, their hair's different. It's just too much. They don't look like, they're similar. No.
This is a total stereotype of, all black people look the same. All Asian people look the same. It's like that whole, just because I'm Asian, I look like that Asian person. Just because I'm black, I look like that black person over there.
Right.
No. They don't look any way, shape, or form alike.
No, they don't.
No, and that's not Gabby. Her name is Simone. I'm going to butcher her last name. Her name is Simone Biles. I apologize. But it is not. Shalise Jones. That's Simone Biles and Shalise Jones.
Okay.
The tall one's Shalise Jones.
Yeah.
Somebody's asked, how is it that Simone Biles is one of the most famous and recognizable people in the world, yet the Wall Street Journal and so many in the press keep posting pictures of Shalise Jones? We don't all look alike. It's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently 3 different articles.
Wow.
Had Shalise Jones instead of Simone Biles.
Ridiculous.
And I'm sorry, I watched
bad reporting. I mean, the whoever's responsible should be humiliated that they made that error.
What's the other? It's 2 actors. It's is it Lawrence Fishburne and help me out, people. There's 2 male actors.
Morgan Freeman?
Not Morgan Freeman. It's come on. There's 2 actors that always get mistaken for each other. I don't think that I understand.
I think Lawrence Fishburne has a very distinctive look, and he's got the gap in his teeth, and it'd be hard to think he's anybody but himself.
Hold on. Here we go. Is it this one? I think it's Sam Jackson. Yeah, people confuse Lawrence Fish, and I don't think they look at all.
They're completely different.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's these people. Hold on, let me share my screen real quick. Again, when you see Simone Biles and Shalise Jones, you're like, they don't look anything alike. But so there they are on the right. I mean, I don't think that they look.
No, completely different. No.
They don't look alike at all.
Mm-mm.
At all. So yeah, stop it, people. Stop. Just especially if you're in the press and you're using a picture, there have been many moments, where all of a sudden you're like, that's not the picture that you want. That's not the picture that you want. And so just don't do that anymore.
Why is it though? I don't know if it's racism or what. Maybe people will be like, of course it is, Kim. Why is it never the blonde girls with the ponytails who get confused for each other? Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there, who? No, okay, well, they're not blonde, but I do believe that there are doppelgangers. So It is Katy Perry and that chick from The Girl Next Door, that show. What's her face? Hold on, they do look alike. They look a lot. No.
Well, if somebody
Zooey Deschanel.
Okay, I could see that.
They look not exactly, but they at least
there's similarities, right?
Oh my! It's more than a similarity. Like I believe in doppelgangers, people.
Yeah.
Like you look very similar, but I mean, look at them.
Yeah, they do look a lot alike.
I mean, it's very much. Like, did your parents know each other? Are we sure? You know what I mean? Like, they look extremely alike.
Yeah.
But I feel like the weight of mistaking people when it's white people just don't care. Yeah. And I'm just saying that they're like, whatever. You kind of look like that person. But when it's like black people or Asian people, because they often become tokens, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, there's the black person or Asian person or Latino person. Then it gets upsetting when you're like, no, that's the other, right? And I think that's where that comes from.
Especially if the story is about someone's accomplishments and what they're doing. It's not just some background picture,
right?
With a miscaptioned or something. But if you're writing about Simone Biles' success,
right,
then you better have a picture of Simone Biles and not
how many
some other
pictures
woman.
are there of Simone Biles? Like,
right.
You could probably go to SimoneBiles.com if that's the website.
Right.
Pull a picture from
How
there.
hard is it? Yeah.
It's not that hard to
No.
do your due diligence. So I find that to be, it's just really, really funny. And again, they're not the same people. No. Okay. I do want to mention something really quickly because Cindy, I don't know if you're watching live or she wanted me to mention something that's happening this weekend and I wanted to do it today. I won't be here tomorrow because I'll be back in San Francisco during morning drive. Pray for me. But I'll be back on Friday. But on Cindy had sent me this on Sunday. She says there's Alzheimer's Walk.
Right.
There's the SF Walk Committee is doing the San Francisco Alzheimer's Walk. There's also a Silicon Valley one. So the Silicon Valley Alzheimer's Walk is happening at Lake Cunningham Park. Great park, by the way. On the 14th, it starts at 9:30. The walk does, and then in San Francisco, at Pier 27, that's not until November 4th. That's happening at 10:30. So just go to act.alz.org to find out. I just wanted to mention that because I didn't want to forget, and she had emailed me, and I got it late, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it for all of you. Okay, so again, I will be back on Friday. The show will be back on Friday, and we're going to bring back two moms that we had on before, Beyond Your Wildest Dreams. Remember they had that, and we talked about them. We're going to talk about Halloween. We're going to talk about costumes.
Okay.
I'm so behind, Kim McAllister, on my costume making because I'm all homecoming right now. Homecoming committees, homecoming snack shacks, homecoming outfits, homecoming shoes. Shoot me. But yes, I love it. It's freaking exhausting. So we will talk about that. Tim Sika should be back on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll get his take on all of the movies. Click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. Go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. Please become a monthly Patreon subscriber. We depend on all of you. Get your raffle tickets. There's only a few days left. Send it to thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. That is the email that you send it through paypal.com. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. I appreciate y'all. Stay right here. Mark Thompson is next with Kim McAllister, and then the after party live. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.